Come on in and grab you a seat, Bill.
Hi, I'm Bill Branch.
I'm Angela, nice to meet you.
Angela, nice to meet you.
I'm gonna go ahead and grab you a seat here and we'll
Thank
go
you.
ahead and get started. So how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, ma'am.
So I'm gonna go ahead and start off with a couple of questions. In your own words, how would you describe yourself?
Well, I believe I have a great work ethic. I believe that I am dependable, and I believe that I am honest.
That's very good qualities to have as a manager. Appreciate those. How has your education prepared you for a career?
My education has given me training and insight into such skill sets as communication in the workplace, supervisory development, human resource management, accounting practices, public speaking, which I believe are all going to be beneficial in my working career for the rest of my life.
And you're very correct on those, sir. When did you graduate high school?
Well, technically, I believe that is an illegal question, but I'll be happy to answer it if you want to rephrase it.
Did you obtain a degree, a diploma?
Yes, I have a diploma, yes.
Awesome. Okay, are you over the age of 18?
Technically, that's, yes, but barely.
Okay. Why do you choose the career you're now pursuing?
Well, I chose this career because I was looking for stability, and I thought this career provided that. But I was also looking for chances for advancement, which I also believe this career provided.
Absolutely. You do a well job and then you're going to be promoted up. Describe a time when you set your heights too high or too low.
All right, I want to talk about a time I set my sights too high. One time was a general manager of a printing company with about 45 employees. And I kind of worked my way up from the bottom, up to that position. After I left there, I went to the second largest printing company in the world, into a plant that had 1,000 employees. And the first day, I let it be known that I had the capabilities, and one day I would be general manager of that facility. As the months and years went by, I realized maybe I'd set my goal a little bit too high. There were a lot of more well-trained, more well-educated people that were above me that I would have to supersede to get to that position. So I believe I set my sights a little too high on that career.
I love your ambition though. That's really complimentary. Can you give me a time when you tried to accomplish something and you failed?
Yes. I went to work for an electrical company, a power company in a municipality. And shortly after I was there, I noticed a process they were doing that was costing the company money, but wasn't bringing anything back in return. And I noticed that where I lived, I lived in a county that had an electrical co-op, that they were doing something different. They had eliminated the process. So I came up with a plan to eliminate the process at the company in the municipality. I asked for some advice, co-workers. They said, yes, that's a great plan. And so I drew it up and justified it with how much money it would save the company annually. And I presented it to management, and management said, that is a grand idea. Unfortunately, we operate under a different flag. We have different laws for a municipality, and we have to have this process. Here's the law. So what I thought was a grand idea, actually I didn't do all the background checking on it.
That's a lesson learned, but that's not anything that is going to deter you from later trying again.
No, anytime you can try to save the company money, you know, one of these days you're going to hit.
That is correct. What is your greatest weaknesses?
My greatest weakness is my inability to recognize my weaknesses. As far as work, I do not have any weaknesses.
I like that answer. Do you smoke or use alcohol?
Technically, I believe that is an illegal question, but if you want to paraphrase it or rephrase it, I'll be happy to answer.
How about we just do this? Are you able to comply with the company's substance abuse policies?
Absolutely.
Okay. What is your typical day of dealing with conflict? Can you give me an example?
Well, there are different types of conflict. You may have conflict between employees, you may have conflict between departments, or you may have conflict between the company and what's right for the customer. So I'll deal with the latter. If you have conflict between the customer and the company and what's right for either one of those, you have to, I believe you have to analyze the situation. And what I've been known to do is write down the pros and cons of whichever decision you decide to go with. Ask for advice from managers, ask for advice for coworkers. What have you done in this type of situation? And you want to analyze the situation before you make the right decision.
That is a very good question and very deep thought. I like that. You must have already done that in your previous jobs, I take it.
I've had a little experience.
Okay. Can you tell me about a time you were able to successfully deal with another person even though that individual may not have personally liked you or you didn't really care for them?
We had a plant superintendent at a printing plant I worked at one time that was, well, let's just say our personalities didn't mesh. But we had to meet every week in a pre-production meeting to go over the next week's production in the plant. And it got to the point where I just had to confront him and tell him we had to put our personal differences aside and we had to focus in on the job at hand, and that was getting the magazine or the catalog out the door, customer specifications, and let's work through this. Let's talk about this in a business professional setting instead of considering any personal indifferences.
That was very wise of you. I can see you be a great manager. Can you give me an example of a time where you had to make a split-second decision?
Well, early in my career, I used to run a printing press, and when you run a printing press, you have to make split-second decisions all the time. Whether is this quality acceptable to the customer? If not, do I shut this expensive piece of machinery down? But when you say split-second decision, I want to go outside the workforce. The one that sticks out to me is that I was traveling to work one day down a two-lane highway, and an older gentleman in a white Chevrolet pickup, I'll never forget it, pulled out in front of me and started headed straight toward me in my lane. So I had three choices. I could hit him head on, which obviously wasn't a good choice, hit the ditch, or I could get in his lane and we could pass each other like that. And so I decided to get in his lane, and at the nearly the last second he realized where he was at and he started to get back in his lane, and I thought, oh no, this is going to look bad. I'm in his lane, I'm going to hit him head on and it's going to look like it's my fault. But luckily he realized what I was doing and he stayed in my lane and we passed each other in each other's lanes.
Boy, God was with you that day. Tell me about a time when you missed an obvious solution to a problem.
Okay, I don't mean to sound conceited or contrite, but I don't believe I've ever missed an obvious solution to a problem.
No taken. I've got only 5 more questions for you. What qualities do you have that make you a good manager?
Well, I believe it go back to the first question, my strengths. Work ethic, I'm going to lead by example. Dependability, I'm going to be at work every day. And honesty, I'm going to tell the truth. No matter how bad it hurts, I'm going to be honest with you.
I have to respect you for that. It takes a lot of nerve sometimes. What training methods would you prefer if you were selected for this position?
My experiences tell me that not only myself, but most other employees that I've worked with like hands-on or on-the-job training. They learn by doing, and so that would be the method I would prefer.
And actually, that is the best way that most of our employees do learn, is hands-on. Can you talk about the balance between not micromanaging but still being involved enough to catch the problems easily? And how would you address that issue?
Well, I think there are three ways to do that. There's a term called MBWA, management by walking around. You want to be seen by the employees. You want to be seen as approachable. Also, you want to have team meetings to talk about if there's any problems, any possible things we could do in the department to make it function better. But also, lastly, I think you want to meet employees in a one-on-one, closed-door situation, because sometimes employees will not say something in a group setting that they would tell you one-on-one. So I think you utilize all three of those skills in able to manage your department.
That's very correct. That is very correct. That is well known. Can you tell me about a management mistake that you have made in the past? What would you do differently if you had the chance?
Again, I don't mean to be contrite, but I don't think I've made a mistake. I've analyzed all my management decisions, and I believe I've made the right ones, and there's not been one that I've looked back at and thought I made the wrong decision.
Okay. And then the last one is, how would you discipline an insubordinate employee?
Well, usually you have to go by company policy, and most company policies are you start off with a verbal warning, and then the second one is a written warning, the third time is a suspension, and the fourth time is termination. But that is the guideline that most companies use, and that would, unless the company policy said something different, that is the guidelines I would use.
That is actually the policy that we have and we use every day. So, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask us?
Sure. Why is this position open?
Because the last manager was not able to come to work on time. So if he's not going to be here and show that the job needs and is needed, then he's not needed.
Okay, well, that's not a problem you'll have with me. I'll be
I
here
don't
every
foresee
day.
that as being a problem, sir.
That's all the questions I've got, Angel.
Okay. Well, it was very nice to meet you, Bill.
Nice to meet you too,
And we're
Angel.
gonna-
Thank you for your time.
You're more than welcome, and I sure do appreciate you coming in today. We will be going through and checking with your backgrounds, and we'll be letting you know something
Oh.
within the next week.
Okay, my contact information is on my application form, my phone number, my email address. If you need me for anything, please give me a call.
Absolutely. You have a wonderful day, sir.
Thanks, Angel.
Let me get that for you.